All right, everyone, we can come back together. Okay, guys, I'm just mindful of time. And we're running a little behind time, so I'd like to get through this quite quickly, but I'm going to turn you over to Therese for a sec.
For the demo I've got coming up now, I'd like to introduce to the group Naomi. She's a senior design student from NCAT, which is tertiary provider in the city of Darebin. So we're very lucky to have Naomi here today with us. So if you've got any specific design questions, so it's a 101 course, but if you've got any design questions that myself or Meerah as marketers, things that, you've got a specific design person in the room. So if you're thinking colours or this work with this, or why isn't this working, or anything design-wise, please, introduce yourself to Naomi. Do you want to say anything about
well, I'm doing a bachelor's in communication and design at the moment, and one of my electives is advertising. So
fantastic. So it's a great asset to have Naomi in the room today. So have fun with the demonstration.
Yes, this is the fun part now, guys. All right, so we now know about brand through a theoretical lens, but now we're going to actually get our hands dirty and start to play with Canva in a second. But before we do, I'd like to actually talk about Canva and particularly the software. So designing with Canva, we know that a brand is so important, and the visual and verbal identity of a brand are really important and come together to create amazing brands. So this is an excellent quote that talks to the value of design when creating a brand. So design is actually the silent ambassador of your brand. And really remember that your brand needs to visually speak to your target customer. So this is what Canva looks like, and we'll talk about this in a sec. But essentially, Canva is a graphic design site that can be used by non-designers, so anyone really in this room. It's wonderful because you can create these appealing and visually aesthetic, excellent designs effortlessly and mostly at no cost. So there is actually a paid version of Canva as well. It's a very low cost. I'm not actually sure what it is. I just know that I can't remember the exact figure, but it's a very low cost. For the purpose of this workshop, however, we're only going to be looking at a free version. So then why actually use Canva? So Canva has about 1 million photos that you can use, whether they're paid or free, to actually design your designs. You've got customizable layouts, so you can really create that on-brand collateral. And when I say on-brand, which I'm going to be saying quite a bit over the next half hour, it's about creating a brand that's based on your guidelines. And I mocked up some guidelines for our class activity, which I'll go to in a sec. Canva also allows you to collaborate with your team or any other graphic designers if you want to make those final tweaks. And most of all, as I mentioned, it's free and it's easy. So that's the best part about Canva. All right, so who's it for? So businesses, marketing professionals, students, graphic designers, really anyone and everyone can use Canva. It's absolutely amazing. Before designing, however, I'd like you to start to think about these things. So think about your brand identity, everything that we've just discussed. So think about your colors and your font, your tone of voice, so your verbal identity, and really make sure that your designs are on brand, again, so that they look the same and they're consistent. And you've got to just remember always to create that consistent visual identity regardless of what you're creating, so that it looks like it's from the same company or same business. So we're actually going to now deep dive into the Canva interface. I'm going to have a quick seat for this section because I'm actually going to start to now show you what Canva looks like. So if we then, you should be able to see my screen. I'll minimize that. All right, so we're really going to have a look at Canva. Is everyone able to access Canva? Yeah, all systems go. So if you actually then open up Canva, you should be seeing, and hopefully my internet works, you should be seeing something like this. Is my screen working? And can all of you see that, or is that a bit too faded? Do we need to switch any lights off?
Can we switch lights off, please?
Is there anything that potentially we can do just so it's slightly easier for you to have a look at? Awesome, thanks for that, Therese. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
All right, lovely. So I'm just going to narrow this down because we will be looking at the stuff on the left-hand side as well. Okay, now when you open up Canva, this is what you see. So you'll see that it's at the top here, you can create your designs. So if I actually just open this for a second, you can see, can all of you see this on your screen, by the way? Excellent. So up the top here, you get to create your designs. And if you click the plus sign here, there's a load of options that you can create. So you can create social media posts, you can create documents, so like a letterhead, you can revise your resume so that it looks amazing. You can create blogging, so like a blog cover post, for instance, like an image for your top. In infographic, if you want to visually describe what it is that your business does, for instance. You can create it for marketing collateral, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. So it is that, whether it is a poster, a logo, labels, really flyers, anything, the sky's the limit. You've got social media that you can create using Canva. So again, a banner for Twitter, for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for Google. And then if you are running any events and you need some event invitations or any cards or announcements, anything that you really are creating, even if it's advertisements, you can really essentially find a template on the right-hand side here, which is already set up in the dimensions that you would need for that particular platform. So that's the best thing about it. And so when you actually then click on it, and say, for instance, we want to choose a poster, you double click on the poster and it actually opens up the canvas in a separate window. So if you want to just do that right now. Now, what I'm going to talk about here is the Canva interface, just really high level at the moment, because we're going to deep dive into that once we actually start designing. And so what we want to do is to really have a look at Canva from the top to the bottom. We can see that on the left-hand side, you've got the search function. And so say, for instance, you were designing this poster, which is a blank canvas on the right-hand side, and you wanted to put an apple on there. So if you type just apple, and you would soon find that Canva's presenting you with all of your options when it comes to any images for apples. So you can automatically start to see in the bottom right hand corner that you've got free, and then you've got paid ones, and then if you've got that paid account as well, there are some certain images that you can start to use that will enable you to create those designs. Now, I've just searched for keywords for Apple up here, but you can alternatively also use category folders. So if you were just after photos of apples, for instance, you click on the category folder up the top, or similarly illustrations, and you'd be able to look at all of the illustrations of apples. So that's the search function on the left-hand side. Next up then, we've got layouts. Now layouts is when you clicked on your template earlier and you selected poster, what Canva does is they've already created loads of different layouts on the left-hand side that allow you to choose exactly what it is that you want to create. And if you like the look of one, you can essentially just pick that. For the moment, I'm not going to do that though. I'm just going to show you exactly what you can do with the layout section. So either use an existing template and customize it so it's on your brand. And then simply what you just do is change the text, the color, the background, again, based on your brand guidelines. So then we move to elements. Now elements is a little more comprehensive. Here you've got loads of things that you can do. So I'm going to start with, so free photos, again, is just the photos that we just saw of apples, for instance. For grids, however, so this is the most important thing. So a grid essentially allows you to place your image on a canvas, but gives you manipulation. So I've literally just clicked on that and dragged it over to my canvas here. Now, if you look at the screen, you'll see that I can make this wide, I can make this narrow, I can do really anything. I've got a lot of manipulation that I can do when I'm actually creating this image. I can shape it to exactly how I want it to look. On the other hand, however, if you click on frames, frames are more of a placeholder. So they don't actually allow you to have as much manipulation. I'll give you an example. So remember, with our grids, we could make it narrow and wide. With frames, literally, it sizes your image down proportionately, depending on how big or small you'd like it. So that's the main difference between a frame and a grid. Now, if in this case you felt like, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words and you wanted to add some icons, you could literally just click on the icons and use these to substitute images or any words to make it easier to get your point across in your collateral. And then finally, you can add lines, you can add illustrations, shapes. So in terms of shapes, you can really add borders, squares, circles, triangles, whatever you want, really to give a little more depth to your designs. So that's the elements side of things taken care of. Then we look at text. Now, there are two ways that you can actually input text onto your canvas. The first is by actually adding the heading, the subheading, and then the body text onto your canvas. Or alternatively, you can search for placeholder, and what placeholder does is it actually allows you to pop some text on your design in a visually appealing way, like such. And so you can literally just pop in some text here, hello, welcome, whatever, and then resize this font to your brand guidelines. Again, use your colors, use your font. And so really you can use either text boxes or placeholder text. Next up then, we'll look at background. Background, so you've got two options. You can either create backgrounds with a solid color, so you can either choose like a solid red, or you can decide to add some sort of texture so that you've got a bit of a background with polka dots, for instance, or any textures that you can see on the left-hand side. And they give you more depth and allow you to enhance your designs a little more.
Where are the backgrounds?
So can you see the backgrounds here? And then finally, you've got uploads. So the best thing about Canva is that you don't actually need to use all the images that already exist in your stock photos. If you did a search for them, for instance, you can actually upload your own images. So you can either create customized graphics by clicking the upload button here and actually clicking on the upload your own images. And in this case, for instance, we've got the Dough Pizza Shop. So you all should have the Dough Pizza Shop photography folder available to you right now. And so what we want to do then, essentially, is say if we want to upload this photo of kneading dough. So we'd click on that, and you can see on the left-hand side the blue wave and the green slider showing you that it's slowly uploading. So that's one way you can actually upload images on your drive or on your desktop. Alternatively, you can purchase some images, as we already saw. So images or illustrations, you can purchase these on Canva. And then finally, you can actually import any images that you may have on Facebook also onto your canvas. So this directly connects to your Facebook account, and you can then start to include images there. Once you have actually once you've created your canvas, for instance, in your design, then what you do is you can actually download your designs based on the number of pages, and we'll have a look at this in a sec when we do our activity, but you can start to download a certain number of pages, or you can add some cut marks in there. You can really decide if you'd like to send this off to a printer, for instance. They'll get those crop marks and those the bleed marks there so that they know exactly where they need to crop. And alternatively, you can choose which pages you want. So you can add a new page here, and really with the share button here, you can actually share your designs. So you can share them via a link and let people either receive this link but be able to edit, or they can only just see. So depending on whether you want someone to either be able to just view a design that you've created versus if you were sending this to a graphic designer and you needed those final tweaks, you can give them the option here. And we'll click on that in a sec when we design our brand collateral. And then you can actually share your designs to social media as well directly. I don't recommend this because I always like to download this to our desktop, make sure it's looking fine, and then actually publish it by attaching it to social media. And even Canva doesn't directly recommend that you promote straight away from Canva to your Twitter or Facebook. You can like I said, you've got this link, you can share it. So here you can see you've got the link, you can either edit it or you can send it to someone and just let them view. And then finally, you can embed this link into a web page or whatever it is that you want people to access. On the right-hand side here, you can also see these icons for pages. So depending on if you want to get to the first page or the second page, really that allows you to have that maneuverability and switch the order of your pages around. And then we can also see this icon here, which allows you to literally copy whatever you've got on one design. Say you like a design, but then you think maybe pink font's going to look better. It's literally a matter of just pressing that and it copies your slide, your canvas, and then you can start to design and make the tweaks. And finally, if you want to delete a slide, and I keep saying slide, but really I'm talking about this poster, this page. If you want to delete a canvas page, you would simply click the delete icon and it gets rid of that page, for instance. So this is really just a very high-level introduction into what you can do with Canva, and we'll get into this in a second. Some basic design tips that I'd like you to think about is always make sure that you're keeping your customer in mind when you're designing. So have light backgrounds with dark font and dark font with light backgrounds and the other way around. So dark fonts, light backgrounds, dark backgrounds, light font. So it allows for easy readability. I prefer to always include my images in grids because that does give you that manipulation if you want to just size it down, narrow it down, make it slightly wider. A frame, however, if you want to put an image in a frame, and if you find that it's cropping a certain section of your image out, you literally just double click on that image and then you click and drag to however you'd like to reposition it, and we'll have a look at that in a sec. And finally, if you are actually inputting some text on your designs, really it's about either popping in placeholder text or text holder text. And really what that does is it locks your text on your design so that it looks visually appealing, rather than you finding 3 or 4 different text boxes and actually putting your text in that way. And really just remember then that you want to enhance your designs through simplicity. So it's not about putting every single image on there or putting so many colors on there. It's not about that at all. It's really about sometimes less is more. So create for simplicity. Replace any icons, any words that on your design, for instance, with any icons, again, for easy consumption. And finally, really strive for those fonts. So a really bold header, but then a more subtle subtitle. Now, what I'd like to do then is to welcome you to the Dough Pizza Shop. Now I'll go back to us here, and what we're going to do, so we've gone through all of this, but really I want to introduce you to the Dough Pizza Shop. And for the next part of our activity, we're actually going to design marketing collateral, so a social media post as well as a brochure, and we're going to work together. So remember, I'm going to work at a steady pace. If you can't keep up, no biggie, because remember, this is all recorded and you can follow and do this in your own time at a pace that suits you. So I actually created the Dough Pizza Shop, and I went on to create a set of brand guidelines, which I will show you now. So if you look at the brand guidelines, then this is what I created, and this just goes off what we were talking about in our earlier section about creating that visual and verbal identity for your brand, and this ensures consistency. So you can give your brand guidelines to anyone out there, a designer, and they can essentially just look at this and use this as a guidebook to then create your collateral so that it looks exactly the same as everything else that you've created. Now, for the brand guidelines, I've created an identity for the logo for the Dough Pizza Shop. So this logo must always be used, and make sure that if you do resize it, the pizza shop words can actually be seen, so that strapline is always visible. For typography, so again, which fonts to use? We've got a Matic SC bold as our header font, so our main header font, and then our sub-header font is the Lato at 18 pixels, so font size, and finally, body text is the Montserrat. So the majority of the text that you're going to write will be in the body text if it's the content of your design. And then I've created a color palette. So these are hex codes, and I'll show you how these work in a second, but essentially we can change all the colors that we're presented with in Canva by just inputting these different hex codes into our design, and then our canvas can change accordingly based on whatever the hex code may be. Finally, our tone of voice. Remember, it's all about looking good, sounding authentic, and having that visual and verbal identity. So the Dough Pizza Shop is fun, passionate, and filled with warmth. We bring people together through our love of food and want to help them create fond memories and joy in their lives. And so we achieve this by using a relaxed and down-to-earth tone. And then, of course, you should be able to access all of this in your folders, in your Dropbox, the photography folder. So this is just some photos that I thought would look good to really highlight the Dough Pizza Shop. Now, what we're going to do then is actually open up and start getting our social media post underway. So this is what we're striving to achieve. This is the type of social media post that we're going to create. So it's for the Dough Pizza Shop. It's 30% off on family pizzas. And if you share and tag this, tag your friends, you'll get a free garlic bread and a free bottle of Coke. And the promo is only valid till the 31st of August. So let's then go and say, all right, how do we start? I'm going to go back to the beginning now. If we've come just onto Canva and we're looking at the way to design this, what you can do, and so my designs, and I will just close this here right now, but what I can do is either select on Facebook post here and say, great, I want to create a Facebook post. I click on that, and essentially Canva then opens up a separate page which is to the dimensions of a Facebook post. So if I was to actually then put this on social media, I wouldn't need to tweak the size and all of it would appear. There would be no cropping of my image. But in this instance, what I would do is, ideally, ordinarily, I would find my layout, whatever I thought looked good. But because there's quite a few layouts there, and I've already created a particular design based on a layout, what I urge you to do then is to click on the Canva logo. And we're actually going to search for a template rather than having to scroll through so many. So if you click on your Canva logo and then click on Find Templates, for the purpose of this here, we're going to search for, I've got the name right now, we're going to search for the White Restaurant Sale Facebook post. So the White Restaurant Sale Facebook post. So if you just click on the design, if you click on the Canva logo on the top left-hand side, and then click the Find Templates right here. Okay, and automatically you can see that this comes up, and this 50% off one. And that looks very much like what we're trying to create. Can all of you find that?
Just important to note on this step, why we're searching by keywords, Meerah's already gone through the thousands of templates and shows on her favourites, so she's remembered.
Exactly.
So just for the purpose of this.
Just for the purpose of this exercise. Sorry? So it's called the White Restaurant Sale Facebook post. Now remember, if you can't actually find it at the moment, that's all good. Just follow just have a look at what I'm doing. All of this is recorded, so you'll be able to design accordingly when you go home or in your own time. Okay, are we all sort of in the same place? Can we see what I've got on my screen? Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this template. And so we click on that Use This Template button. And here we are. You can already see that this actually looks really, really similar to this. Agreed? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to modify this. So I'm going to work from the left-hand side, and then we will slowly work our way through from the left-hand side from top to bottom. That's how I like to work. You may like to work another way. All right, first things first. We're going to change the image. I'm going to go to my uploads. I've already got the images here, but we can find, okay, so it's called a pizza and spinach. If all of you click on that. Once you click on that, click choose, and you'll see that Canva is actually uploading it. There we go. Are we all sort of up to working with me? Then it might be, yeah. Okay. All right. So once I've got my image, I'm literally just going to click this and drag it across to where it is here. And then in my actual design, you'll see that we've got more of the tomato showing, and I'd like more of the tomato to show. So remember, this is a frame, and what we're going to do is double click on it and say, click and drag and say, well, I want more of my tomatoes to show. I've clicked and dragged, and then you click the correction button on the left-hand side to say enter, like lock it in, lock in my changes. Okay, the image is done. Next up then, we're going to change the header up the top. So our header text is the Dough Pizza Shop. So Dough Pizza Shop. And remember then, if you look at your brand guidelines, which I will just show you quickly here again. If you look at your brand guidelines, because this is our main heading, it's our header one, the font we're going to use is Amatic SC, and it's size 32. So that's just a rough estimate of any size font that you can use, but for the purposes of this, we're going to use the size 32 font in this case. So what we'll do then is to change this, and you can choose your font here. So you literally click on that, you scroll down until you find Amatic SC. Ours is bold. In our brand guidelines, it says that our font needs to be bold. And we've got to change the size here to size 32. Lovely. Now, in our designs that you can see on your printout, our text is actually center aligned. So we click that button over there and choose the center. And then if we want to further reposition it, it's literally a matter of just clicking this here and dragging it across. Now you'll see that there's a dotted line that actually appears. You can see a dotted line's appearing on the left-hand side here, then it's appearing in the middle, and then on the right-hand side. This actually tells you that if you can see the dotted line in the middle, it's telling you that in this white space, your Dough Pizza Shop logo or this writing is exactly center. So what we need to do is just change the color for this as well. This is where it gets exciting. So if you look at your brand guidelines, you will know over there, it says that the color for this, the hex code for this particular green is #77. You don't need to put the hash in. So 779163. You click enter, and automatically you can see that green showing up there. You click on that green, and there's our Dough Pizza Shop. You can see that the colors changed, the font has changed. We're starting to look on brand. So it's in your brand guidelines, but it was 779163. Okay, so now that we've actually done the top, we're now going to move to the 30% off. So this should be 30% off. So we'll change that to 30. Again, we're going to use the Amatic SC font. And again, make it bold and center align it. We'll change the color. Again, our color now is going to be a reddish, it's a hue of red. And the actual hex code for that is 96260. Actually, I'll just do that again. So it's 96260. And you click on that. 96260. Excellent. Perfect. All right. All right. And then we can see that we've got on our fried kimchi burgers here, but we actually don't want that. We want to change this to our family pizzas. So we'll change the text to our family pizzas. And because you want to actually make sure that it's not sitting directly under the 30% off, when you click the enter, you can see that everything's looking unaligned now and you've lost your original positioning. So what this suggests then is that these two elements, the 30% off and the Our Family pizzas, these have actually been grouped together to two separate elements that have been grouped together. And you can really reconfirm this by looking on your top right-hand side. It says ungroup. If you click on ungroup then, now your two separate lines allow you to maneuver accordingly. You can play around, press enter, make this center, and make sure that it's looking exactly as you'd like it to. And for the purposes of our exercise, you can, really just change this. And of course, we've got to change the color again to the green. Now, note that once we've actually input the colors, they're already locked in. And so rather than having to go and actually physically put in our hex code again, we can just select the color here. And so it's changed. There we go. All right, next up then, what we're going to do is work on the body text down the bottom. So because this is the body text, we automatically already know that we're going to be using Montserrat. because the brand guidelines tell us that that's the font that we should be using. So we scroll and we find Montserrat. There we go. And we change the font size to 12 because it's looking rather large. And we center align it. Again, we want to make it centered. There we go. We've got to change the text to our own offer. So I think it was tag your friends and receive a bottle, like a 1 litre bottle of soft drink and a free garlic bread, free. Something to that effect. And then we, the colour for this font is black or near enough. So if you look at your brand guidelines, it's literally 0000000, enter, and you'll find that it's that particular shade of black. And then we're ready to move on to our promo. Just change the conditions of this promo to say, literally click on that text box and just tweak it. So until August 2018. So August 2018. All right, delete that. There we go, 2018. You get the idea. And we're going to change the font again to Montserrat because that's on our brand, and you can select the font right here because you've already selected it. Once you've selected it, it's all just there. Click the Montserrat. We can reposition this again so that it's center aligned. And we'll change the font size to 12. Actually, we'll change it to 10 because we don't want it to be too overpowering. There we go. All right, it's starting to look like our brand and our designs and our collateral. So what we're going to do now then, we've still got to change the lines and the color of the button because that doesn't look right. So we'll go to the lines and we'll pop in our brand color guidelines as per our guidelines. So in this case, it is D19B3D. That's the hex code. Click enter and there you go. That's one line changed. Select the other line, and because that's already locked in as a color, you click on that and you select. Brilliant. And we still need to change the color of this button. So it's a matter of clicking on that button and changing the color there. All right, so how is this stacking up versus what we're trying to create? Okay, what's the only thing that's really needs to be changed?
The date.
Yeah, other than the date, thank you. The background, exactly. So we'll leave the date for the moment because that's just a typographical issue. So the background needs to change. So what we then do is we click on the background section and we find our soft beige. So as per our brand guidelines, we've actually got a soft beige color, and the hex code for that is BE3. There we go. So we can change the text here as well to August 31st. There we go. How's that looking? The same? Yeah? All right. Suppose we say, yes, this is brilliant. I love it. I'm going to share it on social media. How do we actually download this? So we click on our page. We click the download button. And then recommended versions of actually downloading your design are PNG because you get that higher resolution and that more crisp, clear result. But you can also alternatively download this in a JPEG version or a PDF. So we're going to click the PNG for this instance. And if you had a paid version and there was anything here that required a transparent background, you could have literally clicked on that transparent background and it would have removed whatever the white or whatever color you had. Click download. And we're about to get our lovely little design in our hot little hands. And there we go. So it comes straight to our desktop, and then we can schedule this as per, as you would attach it to social media, Facebook, whatever, and you can start to promote your offer for the dough pizza shop. So that is how you would create, literally using a canvas layout that's already provided on Canva, and create your social media post based on your brand guidelines here to get that look and feel for that consistency across all brand touch points. Now, we did say that we were going to design a, as we can see right now, hopefully you can see this, yes, okay, so our next then class activity was to design a brochure. Now I've got two options. I know that we're going to finish in about 15 minutes. Ordinarily, I would let you play around for about 15 minutes on this, or what I can do now is to dive in so that we get to the brochure. What would you guys prefer? Because I'm mindful of time and I don't want to keep you back too long. Dive in? Brilliant. Lovely. Okay, so let's then dive in and create this brochure. And so our brochure, slightly more elements involved now, but this is what we're striving to achieve. This is what we'd like to create. So based on this then, let's pull up Canva again. Righto. I can decide to close this, and here we go. We're back to our home screen. All right, in this instance then, we want to design a brochure. So we could either go the old-fashioned way of scrolling through here, going down to marketing materials and selecting brochure, which I'll do right now. And it will open up a template for a brochure with the 3 separate columns, as you can imagine if you were folding a brochure. But again, for simplicity's sake, rather than scrolling through all of the different layouts which you could essentially select, like if I wanted that layout and I loved it and I clicked on that there, then I could literally start to just design based on just tweaking this and making this look on brand with my colors and my tone and my font. But because we've already got a certain design in place, what I'm going to do is we're going to find our template again, just for the purpose of this exercise. So what we do then is to go back to our Canva homepage, and we'd go to Canva and we'd click Find Templates. And for this purpose, for the purpose of this exercise, the layout that I selected was the red and yellow catering trifold brochure. So if you do a search for that, you click enter, you see several templates that come up, several different layouts that come up for this particular brochure. The one that I've selected, however, was this second one in the first row. So if you simply just click on that, and then it brings it up again in a separate window, and there's a front and back side to this brochure. We're only going to design the front for the moment, but we'd literally just click the Use This Template, and Canva opens this up into another window now, so we can start designing our canvas. Remember that if you wanted to delete, we're only going to work on the first page, but if we wanted to delete the second page, it's literally a matter of just clicking on that and selecting the button over here for the rubbish bin, and our page disappears. Similarly, if we wanted to add a new page, we could add a new page. It comes like that. And if we wanted to copy this page, we could click on the page and then click the copy. If we wanted to change, say, the font or the color, just to test different variations. For the purpose of this, we're just going to solely design and work on this first layout here. All right, so let's start. In this instance, I'm actually going to start from the right-hand side and work my way to the left. So first up, I've got to change the image. Now, again, the image I'm using in this case is of the person kneading dough. So I literally click the kneading dough and then literally select and reload this design just quickly. Okay, so uploading my image again. kneading dough. I've already got it here, but if you wanted to, you could literally just quickly open up your kneading dough file in your folder, select choose, and Canva starts to upload it on the left-hand side. Okay, and then once that's done, because I've already got it, I'm just going to literally click on it and drag it across to where I want the image to look. There we go. But you can tell that there's a bit of a filter that's been added on here because it's looking yellow, and our image, our original image, if you look here, isn't yellow at all. So you click on the image and you click this filter button here, and you say, well, just like Instagram, if you've got filters on Instagram, you can choose different settings. You can advance you can add advanced options and change your color and the dimensions of the tint and the brightness based on all of these different levels and sliders here. But for the purpose of this exercise, we're just going to go with a straightforward normal design. Click filter again, and there we go. So that's looking no longer yellow, it's looking like the original colour of the image. Now, I don't actually like the fact that I can see more of the rolling pin and less of the dough. So I want to adjust my positioning of this image. So I double click on it and literally move it across slightly as such. And then click the tick button to say, yes, I agree, I like the positioning, and there we go. That's the image done. All right, so then next up, we need to actually add our logo. So we don't want this logo. We can either delete simply by clicking the delete button, or we can click on the element here and then click the rubbish bin on the right-hand side and remove it that way. There we go. Okay, and we're going to now upload our logo. So go in here. I already have the logo, so I'm not going to go and upload it again to save time, but I'm going to take my image, suppose I've just uploaded it, take my image and literally click and drag and pull it across. And I see those dotted lines, so those dotted lines tell me, aha, you're directly in the center, so I'll just drop it there. And there's our image. All right, I'm just going to make sure that I'm not forgetting any aspects. Yes, so I positioned it to the center. Brilliant. Okay. Now what you can see is we've got these red rows, and we're going to change them to the brown rows because our brochure has brown rows. So we'll just add these columns in by changing the hex code to our colors and our brand guidelines. So in this case, it's the D19B3D. Click enter. You can see the brown there. But this brown actually doesn't look like the brown that we've just used in our actual design. It actually looks quite different. This one's looking a lot more faded. So what's going on here? It almost looks like it's see-through. We've got to add some transparency to our design. How do we do that? If you look over here, you can find an icon that actually says transparency. And it allows you to do just that. So you can adjust the settings on the slider here. And as you can see, as I'm doing it, it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until it completely disappears. We're going to bring this up to 50 though, because we still want... Absolutely. You can do anything. So text, images, anything. Overlays, really, the sky's the limit. Okay, so I've done the 50% and it's starting to look great because I can now see that it's see-through. Similarly, I'm going to do the exact same thing here because we already have our brown selected. We'll click on that color and we'll make this 50% transparent. Brilliant. There we go. Okay, so the right-hand side is now starting to look very much like our original brochure that we're trying to create. Okay, let's now move to the center. Now, we've got the get in touch, and you can see it almost looks like there's love hearts on our design, or triangles rather, arrows pointing down. And we don't really want that. We want the design on our collateral that we're trying to create, which is a dotted line. But if you see here, it looks like the line and the message underneath are combined again, they're grouped, and they are. And this is confirmed again, reinforced by the fact that we can see this ungroup button on the top right-hand side. So if we click the top right-hand side, all of our separate elements, so the body text, the subheader, and the image, now we've got the maneuverability of adjusting each and every one of these elements as we wish. So I want to actually delete this line because I don't like it and it's not on brand. And I'm going to go into the Elements section now of Canva and select lines. And I'm going to start to scroll through. There's loads of lines here, but the line that I really like, and I'm just going to find it here, it's this orange line here. And so I click on it and I select it as such. There we go. There we go. It's on my design. And then because it's obviously too large, I can resize it by taking my arrow to the top right-hand side and resize it down to about how much I want it to be, and then bring it down here. Perfect. Reposition it so it's centered. Maybe make it slightly longer. And then again, reposition it. And the dotted lines tell me that's in center. Okay, what I want to now do is change the color of this, because our dots should be our green as per our guidelines. So because this is a new canvas and we're designing from scratch, we need to input our colors again every time we design a new design. But if you had a paid version, you could actually set your colors in Canva so that every single time you open it up, you can simply just select rather than having to manually put it in. All right. So the color that we want to achieve, the hex code for that green is 779163. Enter, and there we go. And that's looking just like we want it to. Now we'll change the body text. So because this is the subheader, we're going to change the subheader. Because this is the subheader, our brand guidelines say that our subheader font should be Lato. So scroll down, find Lato, and change it. And make sure that it's size 18, but also change the color so it's on brand. Our color, in this case, is 96, so F96260. Click enter, there's our color. Great. And then we can just change that so it's size 18, it already is. So we'll just change the body text now, down the bottom. And I think it was 1 Firenze, in true Italian Florence style, Street, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, 0123, you get the idea, we'll just put a number in there, and we'll change it to www.doughpizzashop.com.au. Perfect. All right. Because this is our body text, we've got to make sure that it's on brand and that we're actually using the font for our body text, which is the Montserrat. Select that. And we ensure that this is size 12, which it is. It's center aligned, which it is. And we make sure it's the black that we want it to be as per our brand, which is 000000, enter. Wonderful. Great. So we can then adjust the positioning of the get in touch. We may want to make it slightly closer to the body text underneath, so it's literally a matter of clicking and dragging it down, like that. All right. And then we've still got some text here. So it doesn't have it here, but we want, as per our actual image here, we actually want to create 3 lines worth of text that really summarize what the Dough Pizza Shop does. So we can do this in 2 ways. We can either literally just copy this text box and put it over here, or we can actually select text. And so, for instance, because we are putting this large major heading, our main heading, we can click on the add heading, and here we go. So we can position that so it's slightly further up here, and we can pop in our text, which I think was delicious pizza. Delicious pizza. anytime, anywhere. Now, of course, this isn't to our brand. We've got to change it to the Amatic SC, which is our main header font. And make it size 32 and bold. And of course, we've got to change the color so that it's that green as per our brand guidelines. And we've already selected that before when we were creating the dotted line. There we go. And that takes care of the text right there. Just going to make sure we haven't missed out on anything. Lovely. Okay. And actually, I think that was the brown. So it wasn't the green. We're just going to change that to the brown. And there we go. Lovely. Okay. And now we can move over to the left-hand side and start to change these images. So we don't want these images. We can either literally click this button over here and say delete image. And then you can see that the image is gone, but the shape is still there. And that shape isn't actually a shape, it's a frame. So we can, and we already know that frames actually exist on the right-hand side here in our element section. So we can say, we don't want this frame, we want to use the one that has the green dotted line as per your printed out collateral. So we can then delete this element and search for our new frame. And if we scroll down, you'll eventually find it here. Ta-da! Click on that, and there we go. Comes over to our canvas, and we resize it. Remember, you've got no manipulation, so it's proportionately increasing or decreasing in size. And we pop that over here. And if we want to make it slightly bigger, we can. And just we ensure that it's center aligned, as such, with that dotted line. We've got our image, and we want to change the image inside our frame now with I think from memory it was this pizza pan one, so I could either upload it, but I won't. You now know how to. But I literally click on our image and pop it in the frame right there. Now, when I actually created this, I wanted my pizza shop, this image, to actually look a lot brighter. So if you have a look here, it's actually quite bright and not really a dull pizza color. So have a look. Can you see it's a lot bright? The olives, the mushrooms, the tomato, they're really popping. I vowed I'd never use the word pop when it comes to designing, but you get the idea. This is looking slightly dull, and we want to add a bit of brightness to our color for the image. So we'd add a filter. Click on the filter button. And for the purpose of this exercise and this design, I thought that the festive one looked really good. It really made it look bright. Click on that, and when I refresh my page then, it will actually refresh to that bright colour, or it should do. There we go. Wonderful. Similarly now, because I'm going to be using this exact same image, this exact same frame down the bottom, after I've actually deleted this element and this image, I can copy by selecting that and clicking the copy button, and then move that image down the bottom here and substitute the image in that frame with the one of the, let me refresh my memory, perfect. So the person who's actually creating the pizza base. And I've got that right here. So move that across into my design. But I want less of the tattoo to show and more of the bread to show. So I double click it and adjust my positioning. Click OK. And there we have it. Going to finally change the text here so that it says, and I think it was indulging taste buds with authentic Italian style pizza since 1985. I changed the brand font. So this is our main font, again, our header font. So change it to Amatic SC and select our brown as per our brand guidelines. And I increase the size to 32. And I make sure that it's center aligned. Ooh, now, there we go. I can adjust the size of the text box so that it adjusts the dimensions, and then I can adjust the images around accordingly, depending on how much space I'd like. So how's that looking? Is that looking like we've designed our... No, almost. Because similar to the old one, we actually need to add that background in. It almost looks like Italian marble. So our final step in this case then would be to add a background, head into the background section, but rather than having a solid colour, this time we're going to actually bring some depth into our design, and we're going to add a texture. And I'm going to choose this background here. There we go. So it almost looks like a watermark or Italian marble, but we need to change the colour of this so that it's on brand. So you literally click on your colour palette, you click on your brown, and there you go. That looks just like our pre-designed marketing collateral that we'd created before, our logo. Again, if we wanted to make changes to this, we literally just click on this icon here, and it duplicates what we've just done. And then we could decide to either reposition the logo, change the font, do whatever we want. And then if we wanted to make this one our final design, we can actually move this to page 1 and say, actually, I want to work on this and rearrange the order. The maximum amount of pages that you can have in a canvas when designing is 30. Just keep that in mind. But for the purpose of this, we're going to move this back to the top, and we're going to say, all right, ready to go, let's download. Or alternatively, I could share it with a member of my team, let them either edit it or they just view it, and we click the download button. We select how many pages, if we've got more than one. Similar to if you were sending out a print job, you'd say, I'd like to print 1, 2. We just want to do number 1. So we click on that and type in 1. And then here, because it's a brochure, Canva suggests that you print it or download it in a PDF format. But because I want to put this maybe on social media and I want to use it as an image, I literally just say, well, I'm going to use the PNG. And then I download, and it downloads away.
Can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
When you say you've got a designer and you want to share it with them so they can edit it,
Yes.
they can share it back with you.
Absolutely, yes.
And you can go
Back and forth, back and forth. So you'll just use that exact same link. He'll get that link, and then he'll just say, look, I've done it, or she or he will say, I've done it. You'll go in and you'll say, well, actually, I want these tweaks. So yeah, you can share back and forth.
Sorry, just quickly, what's the difference between a PNG and a JPG in terms of anything at all?
So
It's going to cover that.
yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah. I was going to say maybe.
So we're on same table. Yeah.
Okay. So really, that's and if we have a look, then our download is downloaded and it's on our page. It's saved on our desktop, really. And if we compare this to our final product, it looks exactly the same. And that's what I'm talking about. If you gave these brand guidelines to a graphic designer and they wanted to create for you, by following these brand guidelines, they know exactly what tone you're using, the colors, the font, the size, and they can create exactly the same design, and it looks consistent. Yes. 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 Exactly.
But how do you develop the brand guidelines?
So a designer would do that then. So a graphic designer like Naomi, for instance, would then help you develop that. But your brand guidelines would be based on the revelations that came out of your strategy in terms of your brand, what we just went through. So that's actually the end of our session. We did run over time slightly. I apologise for that. If you'd like this presentation that we've just gone through, you can actually download it on this link. I'm not sure if you can quite see it, but it's marketingentourage.com.au. and then /Canva 101 -for -business. So you can take a photo, you can come to me, I can provide that link to you later. I believe that Therese is going to be sending this link to you in an email anyway.
After the event, you'll receive an email with all the packages.
Yes. Yes.
How do you change your background colour to a hex colour?
That's actually a great question for Naomi.
Pantone.
Yeah, if you want to stand up here, and if you've got any specific design questions or what now, how do I use my designer?
So Pantone colours are a bit different to hex colours. Pantone you can really only ask a designer to do because you can't really change that on camera itself. It's very specific.
So guys, can we just make sure that we're still quiet? The workshop's still running? Thank you.
So if you really want a specific Pantone colour, you can't really get the exact colour through like a hex colour. You can only really get that through your Adobe Suite where they have the list of Pantone colours. So that's it.
So I've got a brand called Pantone colour.
Yeah.
I can't translate that to a hex now.
Yeah.
There's a good website that you can go to that you can
Yeah.
get image in and you click on the image that gives you a hex code.
Yeah. It won't be the exact colour though. Yeah. It'll be similar but it won't be quite the same.
Right.
Just also because a lot of Pantone colours have been